Welcome to Dark Truths, Religion Uncovered, where we explore the contrast between ancient views on eternity and modern desires for instant gratification. Tonight we'll discuss a shift that has changed faith from focusing on the eternal to being centered on the immediate. This shift happened when belief began to focus almost entirely on the present instead of what comes after this life. In ancient theology, eternity was important and influenced everything. Life was seen as short, fragile, and a preparation for what comes next. Choices were believed to resonate beyond death. People endured suffering because they saw it as temporary. Obedience was significant because there was real judgment. Hope came not from current circumstances, but from promises. Scripture reminds us that we are strangers and exiles here, indicating that earth is not the final destination. It's a passage. However, modern belief often compresses faith into what happens in the present. God is seen as a way to improve our current situation. Prayer is focused on immediate relief, and success is measured by visible outcomes. Heaven can seem vague, symbolic, or postponed indefinitely. While this approach may seem practical, ancient thinkers would see it as short-sighted. Scripture does not treat eternity as an abstract idea. It carries weight and consequence. Jesus often spoke more about the age to come than the present, and Paul spoke of enduring hardship for an eternal weight of glory. Eternity changes our priorities. It makes losses bearable and gives meaning to obedience. Modern belief often resists this view because eternity cannot be quantified and does not provide instant validation. Living for eternity requires patience, restraint, and sacrifice without immediate reward. So, belief narrows its focus. Faith becomes more about personal well-being than about eternal truth. The question shifts from, is this faithful, to, does this work for me? Ancient theology argues that this shift weakens faith. When eternity fades from view, urgency disappears. Sin seems less serious, holiness feels optional, and sacrifice appears unnecessary. Why endure difficulties if this life is all that matters? Why resist temptations if consequences seem far away? Ancient believers faced persecution with the belief that death was not the end. In contrast, modern believers often fear loss because they have tied their hope too closely to the present. Eternity was not merely an escape. It was a guiding principle. It allowed believers to hold their current circumstances lightly. Modern belief, however, often clings tightly to the present because the future feels uncertain. Ancient faith thrived because the certainty of eternity gave hope. God's justice would prevail, His kingdom would come, and death would not be the end. When eternity is ignored, faith becomes anxious and protective, guarding comfort because nothing greater is expected. Ancient theology warns against this narrowing of our perspective. Instead, we should set our minds on things above. Not because this life is meaningless, but because it is not the ultimate focus. Modern belief, however, often prioritizes what is manageable and immediate. But a faith without eternity loses courage. It struggles to endure suffering, delays gratification, and copes with loss without despair. Eternity doesn't diminish life. It provides context. Without this context, belief becomes fragile. Tonight's significant truth is that when eternity loses its importance, faith loses its strength. It becomes reactionary, defensive, and short-sighted. Ancient believers lived lightly on earth because their hope rested somewhere else. In contrast, modern belief often feels heavy because hope has become narrow. We conclude with a challenging question that ancient thinkers would ask modern believers. If eternity truly influenced your decisions, priorities, and fears, what would have to change right now? Thank you for being part of Dark Truths, Religion Uncovered. Please share your thoughts below. Now ask yourselves, has faith lost sight of eternity, or does belief still maintain a long-term perspective? Subscribe, like, comment. Till the next episode.